That's a good start. Base is dropped on a new round of SDH AM. John, hear you there. And where is. So I actually have to hit buttons now. All right, good deal. New round of SDH AM. John, hear you there. You know it's a Monday win. And so we'll find out what the heck's going on. With my hair. Once again, we'll go from there. All right, here's the deal. It is a new Reaction Monday, and we're kind of all over the place today. So here is what we got. Obviously, if Abe is up and around, he'll come and join us in a bit. We got to talk a lot about MLS Cup, talk about the playoffs from the weekend, find out the kind of the details of what happened with Vancouver and their big win in San Diego. We can hear, if time will allow, from both Thomas Mueller and head coach Jesper Sorensen. And we've also got your highlights there, got your highlights involving Messi and friends steamrolling NYCFC at home. It was over early, and they look like they are just completely and totally just laying waste to the road right now. And they are hosting MLS Cup, and there are some issues. We'll get into those kind of today a little bit, and then as the week goes along, we'll get into all of that as we go. Then 9:30 on a match day, full credit to Steve DeCou, the head coach of Georgia Gwinnett College. They're getting ready for their matchup in the NAIA playoffs. So maybe we're just disturbing him after breakfast. Maybe he's heading to breakfast. I don't know. We'll find out what it's been like getting ready for their matchup. We'll talk about the season. For those of you that have been following Georgia Gwinnett, Maddie Cruz has been a part of their broadcast team all season long. And so we'll get Coach DeCou's comments about the season, the preps, all the things as they are now chasing after a championship in the NAIA on the men's side in the round of 16 later today. Like I said, we'll go over all of that. Then 10 o'clock, Bart Keeler, if he's up and around. The Soccer for USPOD. We have the women's national team with their last two friendlies on the season. We'll hear from Jaden Shaw. And the first time out of the blocks, it was 3-0 against Italy. And so they've got another one coming up tonight. And we'll go over kind of maybe a year in review with Bart as we go here and discuss everything women's national team. And then obviously your news of the morning, a team that is in financial trouble. Got docked more points overseas. We'll go over all the news and things that happened in the overnight and get you ready for the rest of your day. Tonight, it is soccer over there, 8 o'clock. We'll go through picks of the week, obviously, and we'll go through everything else that's been going on. If you've missed the Roots as a program, we kind of go through all of the other things that are going on that you might have missed. Surinam's looking for a new manager. Great championship win in Norway for the first time in 3 decades. You've got a promotion for the first time in 3 decades in South America. All those things are on the Roots, powered by our friends at Nofo Brewing. And so that's kind of where we are with all of that. Now, let me lay out the week for you. The week is like this. Morning, Ricky. Morning, Jordan. Morning, Alex. So here's what's going on. Tomorrow, about as normal as you can get. KCD will be talking college with us a little bit as the NCAA gets ready, Division I and such. They're going to get ready for their new rounds and things. We'll go over what happened on the weekend. Maddie was at Furman in Western Michigan. We'll have highlights of that and some of the others. We'll talk men's and women's play with KCD as she gets ready closer and closer and closer to College Cup. And then obviously we'll go over what's going on in the NAIA and all of that. So tomorrow, in addition to mopping up everything from what happened on the weekend, and getting you ready for what happened today. Then we'll discuss college tomorrow in detail. Then see if we can catch up with our friend Jason Stevens because of the team that got docked more points. We'll get into that. We'll get into the new PSR. We'll get into another club that might be chasing after the multi-club ownership model. We'll get into all of those things with Jason. We'll also be seeing if we can catch up with any of the winners down on the coast in the NAIA and see what the latest is with those, because if you appear on the show and you win, you have to keep appearing. That's a rule. So that's how this works. Wednesday's about as normal as you can get. We'll see if Tyler can join us at 9:15 It's weird having to write things down as the 12th month of the year. This is crazy that we're already here in December. And we'll see if we can catch up with the busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler. Nico is going to join us Wednesday at 10:30 because of everything going on Thursday and Friday. Thursday, because of what's happening Friday, Thursday is when we're going to have our MLS year in review. And we're going to reach out like we did on Decision Day. The Decision Day preview, Hours of Chaos, we're going to have an MLS Cup Hours of Chaos. We'll see how many of the voices from Apple can join us, and we'll break it all down with them, and we'll break out the MLS High Senior Yearbook and go through all the superlatives, most likely to succeed, surprises, disappointments, all those kinds of things as we lead into MLS Cup, and that'll be on Thursday. So Thursday will be massive, severe MLS Cup workout, getting ready for the season to end, that kind of a thing. And then obviously next week we'll have postmortems and things like that. But now, Friday, got you to Friday for a reason. Friday is going to be one of the biggest days in this generation. And you think I feel like I'm still underselling it. Friday's going to be massively huge. Oh my God, big. We're going to be blowing it up all day long. Maddie and Jason are going to be anchored at the brew house. I will do the morning show from Benchwarmers in downtown Decatur. So I'll be there for that, 9:05 till about 11. And then Jason and Maddie will take over from there. They'll do a little bit. Then the draw will happen. Once the draw is over, then they'll pick it back up at brew house and they'll kind of analyze it a little bit. And then we'll work forward. So big day draw on Friday. Like I said, I'm live at Benchwarmers from 9:05 till about 11. Jason and Maddie will join us for up about 10. And then we'll kind of navigate through. We'll catch up with our friends at Decatur Watch Fest, and we'll get you ready with our normal guests on Friday, kind of skewed and talking about the World Cup through their prisms. And so our normal guests that we have on Friday will be discussing things leading up to 11 o'clock. And we'll hand it off to Maddie and Jason at Brew House. They'll talk. We'll watch the draw together. Then they'll talk some more. So busy day, one of the biggest days around that we'll have coming up here in recent memory. And so big busy day on Friday. Massively busy week as we go. All right, no dilly, no dally. We'll find out about how this man's hamstrings are treating him and find out what's going on. So how are they treating you, sir?
Pretty good. I did survive the half marathon. Happy to report I did not have to walk 12 and a half miles of it. We were able to jog the whole thing. Kept it smart and reserved, and obviously wasn't going top speed just to try and keep some semblance of my right leg attached. But it all together went very well, so I'm very pleased with that.
Okay, just wanted to check because you know how we are. We always want to be well-rounded when it comes to our guests and their well-being. So just wanted to double check with that. We now have an MLS Cup final, and it is Vancouver and Messi and Friends in Fort Lauderdale coming up this weekend. And I don't know if either of the results surprised you or shocked you, to what extent they may have done so. But Vancouver got 3 in the first half, knocking out San Diego 3-1. And then the steamroller that is dressed in pink just kind of told NYC, it's like, yeah, you're done. It kind of picked him up and just kind of put him off to the side. And it wasn't that close either. So Vancouver and Inter Miami, what do you think?
Yeah, I think these are teams that have been in the discussion all season long. And so I know they weren't either one of them the one seed in their respective conferences, but I think with Miami, you always kind of felt it's less about where they stand and more just about, are they healthy and how are they playing when the time comes? And we've gotten the answers to that for the most part. And I think it's important. I mentioned it to you last week. Supporter Shield and all the other outside trophies that Miami may or may not win. But if Messi's time in MLS comes without an MLS Cup, I think from the obviously it's a success from a lot of different facets, but from the competition standpoint, it would, in my opinion, at least have been viewed as a failure. And so now he's got the chance, along with his teammates and a number of them retiring after this match, a chance to send them out the right way. But certainly it feels right. Like, again, I don't want to prop up, some of Atlanta United's rivals too much, but it feels right for Miami to be involved in the MLS Cup and for the best player in the world or your GOAT or who, everyone has their own arguments, whatever. But to be able to pull the teammates along to this stage, it does feel right. And then Vancouver's just the team that's kind of been there all season long. It felt like pretty much since the first 5-6 games, they were either 1 or 2 in the Western Conference all year long. And they had some good in-season tournaments and whatever the various competitions that they performed well in. And so it feels like a fair matchup. It feels like something you probably expected around the midway point of the season when you saw how these teams were playing out. And now, you're right. I'm not surprised by the results. I appreciate Vancouver for putting it to bed early so we could also go to bed early, as early as could be, I guess, late on a Saturday night. I still, you look at Miami, right? It's 5-1.
Yeah.
It's still a shocking scoreline, like just at that stage of the playoffs in general, to have that level of difference between you and an opponent. So I'm not surprised, but at the same time, you don't want to demean the performance or not be impressed by it. I think you still should be.
Yeah, and now it's one of those where you wonder, and I know that everyone's going to – let me look at juice boxes. Let me see if we have juice boxes for this one already, and I imagine that we do. But just off, I want to see how much credence folks are giving to Vancouver as opposed to not giving credence to what they've been able to accomplish all season long. And I think that to me, anyway, is the larger question in this. Is it going to be just one of those where, it's Messi and, Messi and Alba and Busquets and everybody, no surprise. Messi and friends early favorite at a -132. 90-minute draws a +308, and Vancouver is a +294. I did not anticipate that large an underdog number for Vancouver heading into the Erector set on the weekend.
Yeah, I just think, and obviously, just a reminder for those who only dip the toe into the betting, those numbers are set as much by whether or not the odds makers think a team is going to win, but also based on what they think someone will put money on. And the goal for the odds makers is to have even amounts of money on both sides. And so you probably got to juice the Vancouver odds up a little bit to get people to buy in as equally as they're buying in for the minus number for Miami. So you can't just look at the odds just as a predictor. It's a predictor of where they spend money, not who they necessarily think is going to win. But I don't think that's a huge surprise. I think a lot of people are looking at this game as if it's Miami's championship to win. I think that would be a mistake. I think Vancouver plays their way here for a reason, right? I think the Western Conference, in my opinion, was probably a little bit tougher at the top than the Eastern Conference. I think the Eastern Conference had much more in the middle beyond the 5-6 seed. But I think this is a team that had to play their way in to get there, and they made some moves over their final transfer window to kind of push them to the forefront as well. This is not going to be a 90-minute parade for Miami. I mean, they've got to get the job done. And as much as we've seen them look very good in the recent weeks, in the recent performances, we also know that this is a team that has had some surprising downturns in performance over the stretch of the season. That's why they're not the 1 seed. And so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Again, I don't use this term as a negative, but Miami is a front-running team. They need to get the lead, and that's when they pour it on. And if Vancouver can find a way to keep it scoreless or to get that first goal, the pressure completely flips. And I think that's where you see Miami team that's so comfortable being up 1-0 and turning that into 3-0 or eventually to 5-1. I think when it's 1-0 down, I think that can just as easily turn to 2-0 down, 3-0 down as they push. So again, it's like the most basic key to the game, but like whoever scores the first goal probably going to feel pretty good about themselves. But I think because of what Miami is so good at doing forward and not great at doing backwards, that first goal does play something up.
Yeah, because you have the speed and pressure that you see from Vancouver going up against that back line that has been suspect And sidebar, shout out to our buddy Rocco Rios Novo, because of what he was when he was a part of things here at Atlanta United. He was brought in for Messi and Friends, back up to Oscar Ustari, and now he's been getting most of the minutes, and he's been the guy between the sticks for this run. But that back line can be had. And to your point, if you can take your speed or you can get in behind them, they can be prone to cards. They can be prone to fouling at inopportune moments, and they can also be prone to giving up a boatload of goals. So to your point, I think that getting behind them with that speed that we see from Vancouver, it's probably going to be one of the things that I'm going to be looking at early on, is how are they going to attack the back and not get wowed by the whole Messi factor.
Yeah, the other thing that I kind of look at, especially because of Miami when they're going forward, is you got to prevent the Inter Miami back line from getting the ball high into the midfield quickly. If you can slow them down, I think that's your best chance. I think when they go from defending and they win a ball on the back line and they get it up to midfield, up to Messi, up to Allende or some of the other guys around, and they've put you and you haven't had a chance to recover after your attack, stuff like that. So I think you've got to slow down the transition from D up to the midfield. I think that's going to be important. It's kind of just, again, you know how I love using all sorts of other sports to describe soccer. I'm sure it's every soccer fan's favorite thing to hear. But it's like after a made basket in basketball, you get a chance to set your defense. Mm-hmm. You're more likely to have a quality defensive turn there than if you're in transition and you're running to get back and you've got to find who you're defending and guys are off marks and all that. And so I think if you can slow it down for Miami and make them work a little bit harder to build into their attacking stages, you could probably do a little bit better job controlling and setting your defense to manage the attack. But if they get it going from defense to offense quickly as you're still retreating, it can be real problems. We've seen that so much from Messi, obviously either passing or dribbling through the midfield. You've got to find a way to control that, or it's going to be real problems.
Yeah, and Jordi Alba was a shining example of that for the 9 gazillionth time this past weekend on one of the goals to Allende. Next week, when you come back after MLS Cup, obviously we'll talk about MLS Cup, but I also want to get your I want to get your Major League Soccer high school yearbook out. I want to do all your awards, most likely to succeed, those kinds of things. All your postseason. I want the Abe Gordon postseason awards next Monday when you come back. Friday, it's going to be a massive day here in the United States when it comes to the sport of soccer. It's going to be draw day. And we get to find out what the paths are going to be for any and all, 44 of the 48, because we still have some bids that have to be figured out later on in 26. I can't emphasize enough, really, for the growth of the sport here in the States, how big a day this is going to be. I mean, obviously, we're blowing it up all day long on SDH, but it's a day for Atlanta and for a lot of these cities to be proud of where they are when it comes to the growth of everything. What are you looking most forward to on Friday? If you were looking at draw, because I think Atlanta has 6 matches, if memory serves, what would you like to see here in Atlanta? Speaking selfishly, of course, as the soccer person that you are, what would you like to see Atlanta be able to showcase when it comes to teams and the matchups here coming up, that we get to find out what the draw is going to be like on Friday?
Yeah, Atlanta's so interesting. Like, obviously, the number one answer on the board, if we're playing Family Feud, is going to be the U.S. men's national team, right? Like, it'd be incredible to have a U.S. men's national World Cup game here in Atlanta. But for the most part, I don't think you could go that wrong. Atlanta's such a melting pot of communities. It would be incredible to have some of the African countries that have gotten through. I mean, look, I think we all want Brazil and Argentina, some of those squads like that, some of the powers from Europe, understandably so. But I think you can get tired of some of that a little bit. I want some of the newcomers, some of the countries that are making their either World Cup debuts or haven't been in 50, 60 years, stuff like that. I think those stories are really cool, even if, when the time comes and the game gets here, if it's someone going against, Italy or England, and it's
like Uzbekistan and Portugal,
it's got the town of Peachtree City as their population, then maybe the game may not go so well. But I think those stories are well There's such a huge African community here in Atlanta. I've been playing pickup soccer with a group of them for 25 years, the better part of it. And so I think it'd be really cool to see some of the African countries come here, bring their squad and bring what they do as well. I just don't think you can go wrong here in Atlanta. I think other cities, and I'm not trying to take attacks, but there are a lot of cities that are going to be hosting World Cup games that just don't have the variety of communities that Atlanta does. I think it's one of the coolest things about this city. And I think that's going to be showcased once again when the World Cup does finally get here. We're doing a special show on Friday too. We're going to be right near Fido's at the streets of Buckhead. Maybe I did look at the weather, so that might be a problem. But yeah, I mean, at 92.9, we're going to blow it out too. And obviously it's a huge day to learn not just where the U.S. men's national team, which is, I mean, my first thought is not like what games are in Atlanta. My first thought is like who's in the U.S. men's national team group.
Right.
Who is the group of death, stuff like that. And we probably don't really know how group of death is going to work necessarily because of the modified format, because of the added teams. It might get a little messy as we all adjust to a larger field size. And so that's going to be interesting as well. But I want to see who the U.S. men's national team has got in their group. And then, yeah, of course, what games do we know in the group stage are going to be here in Atlanta?
Yeah, and to your point, I am a fan of the minnow. Give me the first timer, give me the long timer, give me the small country, because you know that their fans are going to revel in being involved in the World Cup. So, give me Cape Verde, give me Uzbekistan, give me those first timers that are learning about the whole experience, and to be able to share the world with them and them with us. I mean, that part to me is going to be the one of the more interesting things about covering it. But to your point, yes, I want to find out what group the U.S. is in. I know folks have already done their mock-ups and they've done their computer simulations, and it looks like Cape Verde might be here for one, Uzbekistan might be here for one, those kinds of things. You do get a couple of the heavy hitters. I think there's an Argentina game in one simulator, those kinds of things. But I am looking forward to seeing group of death. I'm looking forward to seeing, where Canada and Mexico line up, where the U.S. is, what the paths are, those kinds of things. Because honestly, starting Friday, when everything starts going into groups, that's when we all start sitting there and we start mapping out our brackets, man. You start 6 months out, you're starting to fill out your brackets when it comes to the U.S. and your favorite teams.
Yeah, it's so difficult because you're within that. You also have to predict group place finish to then slot them properly in the net. So I don't know if I'm going that far. I'll just try and find a ways out of the group and go from there. It is not uncommon, as you know, to have a team that you thought was going to win the group finish. Now they still advance, but finish second, meaning they're facing a first place team from the other group, and it sets up a massive knockout stage game that could look like a semifinal being played in the round of 16. So I don't really go as far as to try and map it all out. I just try and see how many times the U.S. can get 3 points.
Yep, and we're looking forward to that starting on Friday, and then we'll talk about it again on Monday. As always, my friend, great to see you. Glad you made it through the half marathon in one piece. How many sets of leftovers have you blown through since Thursday?
Leftovers are gone. I don't know. Like, I eat a fair amount just in general. So, like,
you have to stay fueled up because you run.
When I have the excuse that I did run 13 miles and I need to refuel, there's just not many leftovers. The key about the leftover bit, to go away from soccer here, is how many people are so poorly prepared for understanding the amount of food they are providing versus the amount of people they are serving.
Yes.
And you are so scared that you're going to have or run out, right, that you go the other way. I think my family did a really good job both on Thursday and Friday this year of really grasping how many people were going to be there and how much food was needed. So we didn't have a ton of leftovers because I just think the idea that people get enough food to feed 30 people and you got 8 people coming over. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what are you doing, man? You are going to be giving this a go through the middle of the week. We did a pretty good job this year. Not many leftovers. I'm both happy and sad to say that they are all gone now.
Okay, just checking. Just wanted to double check because yes, the ratios of like 30 versus 8 and those kinds of
Yeah,
things. Yeah,
that happens. It happens.
You got to make sure that your fridge is not stuffed. It'll be great to see what 92.9 does on Friday as we get ready for everything. Thanks for being a part of our Mondays. We'll catch up with you the tail end of the week and then again at the beginning of next week because we'll have a lot to talk about, my friend.
Yeah, sounds good, John. Appreciate it as always.
There goes Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game. All right, hot tag. It's 9:30 here in the East. The wife says it's 8:30 in God's time zone, which is one further back. And in the Central time zone, we catch up with the head coach of Georgia Gwinnett as he gets ready on a match day. We can't thank Steve DeCou enough for dropping by. Morning, Coach. Have you already so what has your morning been like here on a match day? Have you already had breakfast? Are we keeping you from breakfast at 8:30 Central time? What's going on?
Slept in this morning, which is
Okay.
actually quite abnormal for me on game day. As soon as we're done here, I'll get on and have breakfast. But the team's coming down at 9 o'clock local time. So I'm just going to get out and eat breakfast with those guys. So just kind of taking it easy this morning. I mean, everything's done. We're ready. It's just the waiting game.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of said waiting game, I mean, what was it like having to navigate a holiday week plus practice plus keeping them focused, knowing when you're traveling, all those kinds of things? How was it to navigate Thanksgiving week with the guys?
Oh, it was great. I mean, look at the alternative. We could be done and not doing any of it. So, um, after the game ended and we knew we were coming down here, then we just gave them a couple days, and then we presented them the schedule. This is what it's going to look like, and so we trained all week except for Thanksgiving Day. We trained early on the Wednesday before, so those of us who went to see family were able to get away, and then we trained Friday afternoon, trained Saturday morning, and then jumped on the bus for about a 6-hour drive down here to Gulf Shores. So very easy. There's no classes this past week, so it was good for them. They're able to just focus on the football. They're just able to enjoy the time with family or just to sleep. So I think that was the three things that they did.
Hey, look, sleep is never a bad thing, especially with the L-tryptophan that you drop in your system on Thursdays and you're getting ready for a 6-hour bus ride. For those that have not had the chance to check out what GGC has been able to do this year, obviously our Maddie Cruz has been front and center of the part of the coverage there at Georgia Gwinnett. How would you break down how the season has gone for Georgia Gwinnett? And we'll get into some of the individuals in a sec, but how would you break down how the season has gone for you to this point?
Honestly, John, it's lived up to expectations. The success that we've had in our short existence, we expect to compete for conference championships, get to the national tournament. This is in 13 years of being eligible. This is our 11th trip to nationals. It's our fifth trip to the final site. We won our fifth conference championship this year, and so we have a culture of excellence, and that's what we strive for every day. The wins are just uh, the added bonus of everything we do day to day. And so, if you've not seen us play or you don't know anything about us, we're a nice little hidden secret up in the northeast corner.
Well, but how hidden are you now, considering that you've been in the postseason as much as you have now?
To the people in this world, we're not. Everybody knows Georgia Gwinnett in the soccer world, but for the rest of it, I still walk around and people look at our badge and be like, "Oh, Grayson High School." And I'm like, "Come on, guys, we've been here for 14 years. Let's go." That is becoming a lot more rare than it used to be, but no, it was good. We had, last year we lost in overtime in the opening round and weren't able to come back. 2 years ago, we had a bunch of injuries and just didn't have the season we wanted. So to be back here we're just enjoying the moment. You don't know when you're going to be back. You don't want to take it for granted. You want to enjoy everything we can, but I really feel that we've got a team that can make some noise this year.
How hard is it to maintain that standard year after year?
That's the challenge. I mean, if I could write a book about it and be a rich man, but no, it's just you don't focus on the results, you focus on the people, and I think that's what we're very good about here. We focus on, doing everything to the best of our ability. So the total person, not just the footballer. It's what kind of man is he in the classroom? What kind of man is he in the community? What kind of man is he on the field? And so, our goal is to take them from boys and then have men that leave here that make a difference in this world. And so that's a little more holistic than, do we press well? Do we score goals? Do we keep clean sheets? And so that's our goal, is to make sure that we're developing the total person.
So then, to that point, how difficult is it in today's day and age of recruiting? How difficult is it to find those individuals? Because, looking at your roster, it is a United Nations. It's like, at least 10 different countries, I think, are represented here. And you have all of these different philosophies, all these different approaches, all these different growth patterns about how to play the game and all that kind of stuff. The college game being what it is today, with transfers and transition and, going to the next level and all these kinds of things. NAIA folks probably looking to go to the NCAA if they got a couple of years left of eligibility. When you're juggling all of these different chainsaws, how difficult is it to try and make sure that you find those folks that will meet your standard, will stay, and understand about the growth of the program?
I don't think you can anymore say that they're going to stay. You just don't know anymore. So you hold on to them loosely. I mean, it's if you're with us for a year or 5, we're going to treat you the same. We're going to help you grow and develop. But man, this is 26 years as a head coach, and it has changed so drastically in the recruiting in the last couple of years. The standards don't change, though. You're still looking for the right person who fits our model, who's got that growth mindset, who's a good player, good person. I mean, we can't just take anyone. And so, but the fact that in the past you used to develop with a long-term mindset. What are we going to look like in 4 years? What's this group? How are they going to grow and develop? And then you'll have somebody just walk in the office and say, Coach, I'm going to school in Miami. I'm gone. And you can't do really anything about it. And so you just live more in the moment. You live year to year, and things are going to change. And as many go, twice as many want to come join us. And so we have to do a good enough job of navigating all of those individuals and find the right fit. And so, we're hitting on pretty good numbers on what we bring in, good kids who want to stay. And when you've got a program like we do in a location we do with facilities, it's an easy sell. But if somebody comes along with NIL, I'm powerless with that. So you just enjoy them for when you have them, and give me a great player for a year or two, if that helps us win and helps him grow and develop, versus just wanting to hold on to somebody for 5 years or 4 years just to say, I've got you a part of my program.
How difficult an adjustment has it been for you? Because you mentioned, all of the years that you've been coaching, and obviously I'm guessing you're used to a certain pathway of, okay, this, then this, then this, then this. How difficult has it been the last, say, 5 years? And I know that's probably a longer example, but how difficult is it to change and understand, to continue the 38 special analogy this morning, that if you cling too tightly, you can lose control, since you mentioned hold on loosely earlier? How much of a change has it been for you philosophically to just understand, okay, yeah, this is how things are these days?
Great catch, by the way. It's been hard. I mean, you can't be the stubborn old coach. You have to be flexible and be able to change with the times. It's get good young assistants in who understand it, who can bring some of that energy and can help me relate better to those guys. It's just you can't be stubborn. I mean, if I'm stubborn and inflexible, we will rot on the vine and not be good. And so what we've done is just change, go with, as kids want to change, we've got to be just as flexible and try to stay out ahead of the curve with things. And so we're not perfect. We're trying our best, but I think we're doing okay.
Steve DeCou, head coach of the men's side for Georgia Gwinnett. We'll get into the matchup eventually. I have all these questions. Yeah, we'll talk about match day here in a bit, 2:00 Eastern. For your matchup in the 8-9. With the international component in the NAIA, and a lot of different sports, in my time in covering the NAIA, the international component has been huge. How difficult is that part of this? And I imagine the world being a little smaller today than it was maybe 5-10 years ago, it might be a little easier. But how difficult is it to navigate internationally, find those individuals that you want, bring them in, have them understand where Lawrenceville, Georgia is, what Georgia Gwinnett College has done? What's that like these days when it comes to recruiting internationally?
Oh, it's easy. If you look at the university's webpage, if you look at our social media, platform. If you look what Maddie was able to do, coming out and broadcasting our games,
Yeah.
very easy. Now, it's also easy that you say, hey, if you're coming from London, Paris, Buenos Aires, it's a direct flight straight to Atlanta.
Mhm.
And then we're up in the northeast suburbs. Then we show people our facilities, and our facilities rival. I tell people I've got the best non-Power 5 job in the country when it comes to facilities, location. Um, it's an easy sell. And so now with you know the capabilities online, we can have conversations with players multiple times, with families. Um, we do travel a bit. So I do have contacts all over, and so they know who we are, what we're about. They know our style of play, our level, and so they'll push kids that direction to us. And so um, it's all about relationships. I mean, I talked about it earlier with the players. It's the same thing with these recruiting agencies. We stay in touch. I mean, I've already been, reading through emails and looking at videos about guys for next year in certain positions we're targeting. And so it's, as a good coach, you got good relationships with your administration, with your team, and then with the recruiting agencies, the recruiting piece. And so we honestly though, I wish we were a little more domestic, but it's just not the way it is. And you've seen it at the NAIA level. You have to be this way in order to be successful.
Yeah, and I mean, there is a mix of the Georgia athlete, and you know full well what high school soccer is here in the state of Georgia and in the southeastern United States. Then you have Usman Fall, who and I practiced this. Let me see if I'm close. Université Czech Anta de Dakar. I think that's close. Anyway,
That's way better than I did it. So well done.
I mean, so you get a freshman like Usman Fall coming from Dakar, Senegal. You have Amadou Diop, who's a sophomore from Lyon, France, and then obviously you look at Georgi Jurasinovic, who's from Serbia, to go with a lot of these other, Cesar Rojas from Paraguay. I mean, I'd love to know, with Nick Karanich, you've got somebody from Germany. It's, to me, I'm always intrigued about how you take all of these ingredients and blend them together, because you have all these different dudes from all these different places and bring them together. And you mentioned having the younger coaches as a part of that. I mean, to me, I've always been intrigued by that part of it too, where you're pulling from Africa, you're pulling from Eastern Europe, you're pulling from Europe, you're pulling from South America. I mean, it's that to me, how do you get them all on the same page, man?
I'm stubborn. I'm the boss.
No, yeah.
No, but no, but you lay it out for them. This is, you show that Usman Fall, a 6'3", number 9, who's just a monster. There's certain aspects that he brings to the team, so we have to accentuate that. I use the analogy of, so years ago, well, not years ago, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, GGC wrote a fight song. And so I've got the original, I've got a copy of the manuscript of it, and I'll take that into one of the first team meetings. And I'm like, we're an orchestra. You all have a different part to play. And if you decide to go rogue, we are going to sound horrible. I'm the conductor. This is how I see it. My way is not the only way. And if we want to talk, and guys will come in and talk about how they feel they fit or style or things like that, but we can't have, like you said, the front line wanting to play one way, the midfield one way, and the back line doing their own thing. This is our style, this is who we are. And so that's why we spend probably about 75% of our time just working on the game plan and tactics, so everybody knows what's expected of them. And basically it's run, defend well, you get in the final third, show your class, be able to play there. And so everybody has to understand your role and responsibility. And if you don't buy into that and don't do your job, you're not going to be successful here. So that's kind of, it's love. I mean, you got to love, tough love. If you don't do your job, you're not going to play. If you do what we want and you excel, man, you're never going to come off the field. So it has its moments there. You'll see sometimes guys get, in their feelings. Guys don't like the way we're doing it because that's not how I grew up playing it, or that's not how I think the game should be played. So um, it's not always rosy. It's not always perfect, but the success we've had, they understand. The old guy might know what he's talking about, or at least he's got guys who do. And so let's just listen and follow along. And then as we have success, it continues to breed success. They start to do what we want. And they're the ones that drive the ship. So when they're having that kind of success, they understand, hey, this works. I might be from Africa and my partner up front's from South America, but man, we are a great tandem together. And so they just feed off each other. And so honestly, that's probably one of the most enjoyable parts about the coaching is that when you see 10 to 15 different cultures, because even when you look at our domestic kids,
Mm-hmm.
they're not normal. They're all, children of immigrants or immigrants themselves. And so we've got an unbelievable diversity, and that's our strength. But when you see all that come together as one, that's when you as a coach, you really feel that sense of I've done my job. And look at where we've come. So that's where you get your enjoyment and satisfaction from, is when you see them all coming together. Like we did in that conference final game against Bellevue. I mean, everything just clicked. And so what a I just sat back and just marveled and just enjoyed watching the game, which that happens like maybe a handful of times in 26 years.
14 different goal scorers, I think, this season. So then to your analogy, are you heavy metal, are you classical, or are you jazz when you're at your best like you were with Bellevue?
Jurgen Klopp, heavy metal, baby. Let's go.
Okay.
We're gonna get in your face. We are gonna keep coming. Sometimes we get a little jazzy, but we are nothing classical. We are 100% crank it to 11.
Okay. Because it's one more than 10. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
got it.
I understand that. I'm down. You're in the 8-9 in the upper left as everybody fills out their brackets in pen.
Exactly.
When you look at this particular matchup with Cumberland of Tennessee, what concerns you the most about them, and what are you the most confident about going into this matchup at 2:00 Eastern time?
What concerns me most is their counterattack. They are an unbelievably rapid team at getting forward. Yeah, they're going to allow us to have a bit of the ball, but the minute we lose it,
Mhm.
they're going to look to get forward. And where, as we were watching film, you'd see space against opponents. There might just be the number 9. 2 passes later, you're going to see 5, 6 guys just full sprint, just coming down at you. So those transitional moments, we have to win that battle. But what gives me confidence is the way that we can attack as well. With Contrera and Fall, we have two monsters up front, and so our ability to force teams to face their own goal, to be defending in positions that they don't want to, is where we feel we have a great amount of success to be had. But we've got to be smart in that transitional moments, like I said, so that we can eliminate what they like to do.
It almost seems like with you being heavy metal, that Cumberland has their moments about wanting to play the same kind of a song, and
Mhm.
you can't get caught in, you can't get caught looking down. It's like, okay, where am I in my rundown? Okay, I'm at song number 6, and then all of a sudden you hit a bad note. I mean, it's like it seems like
Mhm.
you got 2 teams that are almost at times wanting to go about things the same way, and it might be like 2 rams on a mountainside at points.
Oh, but that's college soccer. I
Yeah.
mean, so you ask what are some of the differences with all these internationals? So one of the first things we tell them, there's college soccer and then there's football. They're
Mhm.
not the same. They're not the same animal. It's with the substitutions, with the way the game's played. We just tell them we don't want this to look like a basketball game where
Mm.
it's just back and forth. And so, yeah, a lot of the college game is a lot like that. So we've got to be good that we're able to put our foot on the ball and change the rhythm and the tempo of the game, slow things down how we want to, and then speed it up and get after them when those moments arrive. But yeah, oof. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one today because just like you said, both teams have the same ideas. Both teams want to attack a lot in the same way, and so who's going to be able to impose their will on the other?
And we are looking forward to it. It's going to be 2:00 on all of the NAIA's networky kind of things, and following along on the social medias. It's always a blast to see what you guys have been able to do all season long. I know that I am holding you from breakfast. I'm glad that you slept in late because the last time you did that would have been when on a match day.
I don't remember.
See.
Exactly.
Yes, that's the beauty of the road sometimes. Like I said,
Oh,
we'll be keeping an eye on stuff at 2:00 this afternoon. It's been fun to follow along, and I'm glad that you finally got to break glass and drop by the morning show and have an opportunity to do it where you're not like at practice or something.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate everything you guys have done for us this year, John.
And don't be a stranger. You got the key. You know where the garage door opener is. We'll be keeping an eye. We'll catch up soon, Coach.
Thank you.
There goes Steve DeCou, head coach at Georgia Gwinnett, and they're getting ready for their matchup in the 8-9. Once again, as you fill out your brackets in pen, and it is upper left. Right now, you're about an hour and 10 minutes away from the first match of the quadruple header. Bethel, the number 1 overall seed, is going to take on Grandview of Iowa, who knocked out the number 16 Indiana Wesleyan. So it's Bethel of Tennessee going up against Grandview. That's at 10 o'clock. Match number 2 is the 8-9. Georgia Gwinnett, your 9 seed, taking on Cumberland of Tennessee. That's the upper left section of the bracket. 4 matches today, 4 matches tomorrow. Warner Pacific and LSU Shreveport, the 13, as Warner Pacific upset the 4 in Kaiser. Warner Pacific works their way through. They're the another one of the unseeded teams taking on 13 LSU Shreveport. That's at 7 Central Time. Then we have Life Georgia taking on Cumberlands of Kentucky, and we've had the chance to catch up with Coach Palma a couple of times and find out what's going on there. If you missed it, on Red Clay is our interview with Coach Palma that we had with him last week, and also the interview with Meg McGonigal. On the women's side, we'll go over the women's bracket in a sec. You also get to hear from David McDowell, the head coach at Truett McConnell. That's on the Red Clay Soccer Report, powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing. That's available for you on the network. However, you consume what we do either live or taped on a daily basis. So Bethel and Grandview at 10 Central. Georgia Gwinnett and Cumberland at 1 Central. Cumberlands of Kentucky and Life at 4 Central. Warner Pacific and LSU Shreveport today at 7 Central, 8 Eastern Time. Those are the 4 matches today down in Orange Beach. Right-hand side of the bracket, Oklahoma Wesleyan, your 2 seed. They're the breakfast match. They're at 11 Eastern Time tomorrow, taking on William Penn, who knocked off the 15 seed Grace of Indiana. John Brown, who advanced 4-3 on PKs, knocked out William Carey out of the Southern States. They're going to take on Mid-America Nazarene. That's at 2 Eastern Time. Bethel and Indiana Tech is at 4 Central Time, so 5 Eastern is the 3 and Indiana Tech. WVU Tech is your 11 at 8 Eastern, taking on Ottawa, Kansas. That's the breakdown of 4 on December 1st in the round of 16, 4 on December 2nd round of 16. So that's the 16 teams left on the men's side in the NAIA. On the women's side, once again, you've got Truett McConnell, you've got Georgia Gwinnett. They are in Pensacola at the Ashton Brosnaham Soccer Complex. And as you fill out your brackets in pen once again, round of 16 today, starting off in about an hour and 10 minutes. It is Marion, the number 1 seed, taking on Taylor. Most of the women's side is chalk in the NAIA. 1 versus 16 at 11 Eastern, Marion and Taylor, both out of Indiana. 1 o'clock Central Time, it is Mid-America Nazarene. That is one of the upsets, the unranked, knocking off 9 Science and Arts of Oklahoma, taking on Oklahoma Wesleyan, the 8. That's at 2 Eastern. 5 Eastern, the 4-13, College of Idaho and Cumberlands of Kentucky. The 5-12 is where Life is with Meg McGonigal and the Running Eagles. That's at 8 Eastern. The 12-seed Life University taking on John Brown of Arkansas. So that's today. If folks win that are in the footprint, we're going to knock on their door, see if they can join us again tomorrow as a part of the college coverage that we're going to give you on College Tuesday. Right-hand side of the bracket for the women, that is tomorrow, 11, 2, 5, and 8 Eastern Time. 11 a.m. is the early game with Truett McConnell, and the 10-7 they take on Grace of Indiana. 2 Eastern, William Carey, the overall number 2 seed, takes on Embry-Riddle of Arizona. 5 Eastern, Indiana Wesleyan and Kaiser of Florida. 8 Eastern, Lindsey Wilson of Kentucky taking on Missouri Valley. So that's your rundown in the NAIA. They're in Orange Beach. They're in Pensacola. They're chasing championships, and that's going to be the round of 16 over the next couple of days. Once again, folks win, we're going to dial them up. And as we get closer to championships, we're going to chase after the championship teams. The finals are a week from today in the women's side in Pensacola, Florida. So we're going to keep an eye on the NAIA. Cannot thank everybody at the schools and at the NAIA for helping us out all season long and letting everybody know what's going on with the championships there. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to be spending a lot of time in the college game because KCD and KCD is going to be focusing on with Jen Hildreth. They're going to be doing College Cup coming up in a bit, but we'll focus on NCAA tomorrow all the way through Division III, and we're going to track down our friends from Emory and see if we can catch up with them as well this week as they get ready for the Final Fours in Division III when it comes to the NCAA tournament. Okay. Bart Keeler set to join us in about 5 minutes, and we will break down everything involving the USWNT. There's cards and calls. There's some yellows and some reds that folks need to get into, and we'll get into all of those calls and things like that and see if there's anything that our friend Dale Johnson thought was a little out of the ordinary that we'll get into as well. And apparently there was an incident in Italy where there might be an official that is not going to be officiating VAR anytime soon because of a play that was missed through VAR. So we'll keep an eye on all that stuff. So there's cards and calls, women's national team, and all the other things that we're going to catch up with Bart about. Final half hour, 35 minutes of the show. We'll go through what happened on the weekend more in depth when it comes to MLS playoffs. We've got highlights. We've got post. Once again, we've got Thomas Mueller. We've got Jesper Sorensen. We've got your goals. We got a lot of goals from my Messi and friends. By the way, did you know they scored a lot of goals? We'll go over the stats and the numbers too, and it is just staggering what that steamroller down dressed in pink is doing these days. But I think that they might have, if Javier Mascherano might have done something that, maybe he was supposed to do a little sooner. And if they'd done it sooner, then it might be really scary what the numbers that they've been putting up offensively. So we'll get into Messi and friends. We'll get into Vancouver. We'll get into the conference finals coming up last 35 minutes, and we'll go over the news of the day to get you squared away and get you prepped for everything going on. Let me say hi to everybody and let you know that I am looking at what's going on, that you finally got things squared away. So morning, Alex. Morning, Jordan. I know Jordan is not a fan of Messi and friends being in the final. You're not alone. But apparently the match is going to be at the Erector set. And they might put in some more temporary seats. I don't know. But right now, capacity is at 21,000. There are published reports out of South Florida where season ticket holders aren't getting their seats for MLS Cup. And also, if you are a Vancouver fan, they have the block of seats for the traveling supporters. And apparently, you only have to pay $44. And I don't know if that's Canadian or U.S., but those were the published reports out of Canada that if you make the trip and you're going to be in the supporter section for the traveling fans, you only have to pay $44. But it's going to be at the Erector set. It's not going to be at Hard Rock, where you probably could have if you'd planned it out. But then again, getting Hard Rock on short term, that might be the reason why. That you've got your venue, you know what you're going to be able to do. You can kind of control your own. You can control your own area, and you know what you can handle. If you'd said, okay, we're in the final, we're moving it to Hard Rock, you might not be able to fill the place. So I'm guessing that's the main reasons why it is there as opposed to moving it to Hard Rock and being there at 65,000. You're at 21,000, maybe a couple of more. Maybe they'll let some folks in and wander around in the concourse or whatever. But 21,000 at Hard Rock, that's what you've got. Season ticket holders are getting a little itchy and perturbed, and the traveling fans look like they might be getting in the door for $44. So maybe what you should do is find you some Fanatic stuff at MLS Shop. And I think that since today is Cyber Monday, you might be able to get some good discounts. Buy the tickets in Vancouver, fly down to Miami, sit in the Vancouver section, and you get in the door for $44 to see the last game ever for Jordi Alba, Sergi Busquets, Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez all together. The Gulfstream Galacticos last match together. Maybe you become a Whitecaps fan and go in that way. Just thinking. Just an idea. Let's see. So, morning, Ricky. Yes, the crazy growth they've had, so impressive even before Mueller. And that's the thing. You have people sit there and they're going, Vancouver, but Vanni Sartini did a fantastic job. When everyone was healthy, you got to see what they were able to do in the Western Conference. Sartini leaves. Jesper Sorensen comes in. Yes, it's pretty much the same bunch, but you got to see them a year older. You got to see the growth of Sebastian Berhalter. You have Takaoka in net. And we'll go over the lineup when we go over what happened in MLS Cup. but you see, and Thomas Mueller has become kind of that fulcrum. And in the soundbite that we have from the post-match press conference, he's the first person to sit here and say it's about the Whitecaps and it's about us. It's not about Thomas Mueller. It's not about Messi versus Mueller. It's about the Whitecaps and Inter Miami. One of the first things he said in his post-match interview was, it's not about Mueller and Messi. It's about the Whitecaps and what we've been able to accomplish, and Inter Miami going up in the championship game. So, yeah, you look at what Vancouver has done, and remember, this is a team that is still for sale. They are for sale. And so I think the price of the club might just be going up, or at least the evaluation might be going up when it comes to what we're seeing with them over the last year plus. They are for sale. And I don't know where things are when it comes to looking for suitors, but they're still for sale. And they're doing all of this, and they're working their way in, and they are in a final in Major League Soccer. So, morning, Ricky, morning, Jordan, morning, Alex, morning, David, morning, Dell. And, yeah, the Vancouver Southsiders probably, I don't know, Vancouver Southsiders probably will. They'll be yelling. They'll be up there in that corner that, for those of you that have been to the Erector Set, they're up in the corner. They'll put you up in the rafters, but really the 200 section there at the Erector Set really isn't all that high up. That'll be fun to see. All right, 10 o'clock. Sorry, I filibustered past 10 o'clock. And, no, I thought he was there, but then he dropped out. Okay, so we'll filibuster a little bit more. So Bart Keeler set to join us here in just a little bit, and we'll find out what's on Bart's mind as we get ready for the last game of the year when it comes to the USWNT. We'll go over what happened in the first match of the doubleheader with the Italian national team, and we will we'll find out what the numbers were there, and it is active when it comes to all of these things. So we'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. And once again, you look at the MD -1s. They were at the Florida Blue Training Center ahead of the match with Italy at the Erector Set. And I'm wondering, with it being at the Erector Set, it's going to be on Westwood 1, and it's their 2025 finale, Fan Appreciation Night. I wonder how chewed up the surface is going to be, and how, when it comes to repair, what it's going to look like, what it legitimately is going to look like, what that surface is going to look like coming up here on the weekend. Because if you play on that surface and you're going to play on that grass, and we know what that grass surface is all about, then then you can sit there and finally see what it might look like. So we'll take a peek. We'll see. That's one of the underlying things that's there, and we can find out what's going on that's attached to that particular moment. So we'll see. So that, like I said, underlying story when it comes to underlying story. What's that grass going to look like? If you play on Tuesday, you're just going to let it go? Is it going to be repaired? What's it going to look like? Just saying. Just a thought. So if the national team, women's national team, is going to play there, and then you have what? Practices. You've got the practices that are attached. What's it going to look like? How chewed up is it going to be come finals? Because I imagine that Messi and friends are going to work. They're going to work out at their place. They're going to work out at their place. Where's Vancouver going to work out? And that's the larger question. What's that grass going to look like? Underlying story. Inquiring minds want to know. Okay. We're going to bring in Bart, and we'll find out what's on Bart's mind here. I saw you in the green room, so if you're going to use that particular camera, turn your device sideways, sir, so you take up the full screen. And, okay, so he's like on devices and such. Okay, so I'm in, so, so, okay, so Bart is letting me know Yeah, hotel Wi-Fi. I know it's got to. You're going to have to go off your hotspot. I think that's how this works. Hang on just a second. Let me bring Bart in here and we'll troubleshoot it as we go. Okay. So let's see if I hear you. Do I hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Bit echoey,
Yeah,
but I do hear you.
that's not. Oh, I apologize. I'm just not wanting to connect to the wireless
No,
internet, and I think it's just easier to do it on the phone and go from there.
true. I will grant you that. So we have the doubleheader with Italy to wrap up the season. One match in the barn. What's stuck in your head?
Well, John, I thought it was a really impressive performance from the U.S. women. I think most importantly, they continued the trend of scoring early, which
Mhm.
means that if you're going to watch the game at a bar or you're like, oh, I'm racing home, you got to get there and sit down in front of the TV, during the TNT or TBS pregame show, because otherwise you're missing vital pieces of information from these games. And I was guilty of that. I sat down. I'm like, okay, we're about 5 minutes late. I'll be all right. Holy crap, we scored. And so from that standpoint, I think that is, if you want to talk about things from a friendly that you can actually take and say, okay, this is something we maybe have learned. That's been a consistent theme this fall. And if they can continue that, however long they are under Emma Hayes and with this crew, that is a strong trend to carry with you.
Yeah, Emma Hayes was asked about the season in the the in-betweeners and the MD minus ones and the MD minus twos. And she was kind of asked to recap 2025 on the whole. And she went from like January all the way through, and 3 minutes and 45 seconds later, she had recapped the year. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, I can't use that entire soundbite. But what she did do was focus on elements of, okay, learning about what she was looking to do philosophically and finding out where and not having the losses get to you, and learning about what she wants to do and not have it be about 1 through 11 but 1 through 25 or 30, and have a unified message across the board. Doesn't matter who you bring in, the players that you do bring in, you want them to have the message and the philosophy, capital T, capital M, capital T, capital P, brought forward, and then you end up with the lessons learned from all of that. When you look at 25 from beginning to end as we get into this last match of the calendar year, what are some of the things that have stuck with you about this group and about this path that the women's national team have been on here in 2025?
Well, I think first thing that sticks out about 2025 is the amount of new faces brought into this program. And I think that is a great testament to Emma. I do want to draw a parallel to the last time we talked about the U.S. men's national team and Mauricio Pochettino. I feel like, John, their messages are the same, but one's written in a nice, you know, curly font and addressed nicely to you, and the other one is like in just all caps, punching you in the face. Because I think that's the goal for both of them is they want to inject competition into their squad that's not just there for training camp, but overall, top to bottom, whoever has a wish to be part of the U.S. men's or women's national team. But for Emma, it is, I think, the thing that she has a luxury here is that she is 2 years from the World Cup. So for her, this experimentation does seem a little bit more logical, a little bit more necessary, even because that, on top of the fact that I don't know if you saw recent pictures of Sophia Wilson's new baby, it is adorable. But obviously, she and Mal Swanson and others are away on raising children duty and other injuries that kind of creeped into the team. Tanner Davidson obviously being out as well. So she kind of has the luxury of the excuse to do it. But that in the plan is obviously okay. Well, we have 2 years to prepare for a World Cup. You don't know who's going to be healthy, who's going to be fit, who's going to be available by that time. And so, top to bottom, you need players who are not just talented, but understand the system, because talent is great. But if you're not playing within the system, if you're not playing with your teammates, it's not going to really help us all that much. So the fact that she's trying her best to get as many players into this group, this program as possible, who deserve it, by the way, um, is a really positive thing going forward.
This is tonight, 7 o'clock at the Erector Set. It's going to be on TBS and HBO Max, Peacock.
Gosh,
What?
I drove by the new stadium yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I got on the ground reporting here, John.
Sure thing.
It looks great. I can't even knock it. I can't. I mean, especially when you compare the fact that next, well, I guess this week technically, but on this weekend they're going to be playing an MLS Cup Final in a temporary stadium with PGA Tour risers in the end zone corners.
Mm-hmm.
It looks nice, John. It looks nice. It is very noticeable from the road, which was, I think, the thing that stuck out for me. It looked big. I know it's only 25,000, but it looked imposing. So congrats to them. I guess I know we don't love them, but like, hey, I am pro having good soccer specific stadiums in this country. Not what we're going to be in tonight.
Yeah, it's still too small when it comes to capacity. And I know that you only have a certain height that you can raise to because of the flight path into MIA, but it's still, when it comes to capacity, it's still too small. 12th ranked Euro semifinalist 3-0 goal from Olivia Moultrie. Second half brace, Kat Macario. USA 11-3 in 2025. Italy 11-4-1 with 16 matches all time between the two countries. You look at this grouping, and let me go through the roster quickly. You have Dickey, McGlynn, and Silkowitz available in keeper. Defenders, you have 10. Bug, Fox, Girma, Patterson, Lily Real, Izzy Rodriguez, Emily Sams, Emily Sonnet, Kennedy Wesley, and Kate Wiesner. Croy Bethune, Sam Coffey, Lindsay Heaps, Jalen Howell, Claire Sutton, Rose Lavelle, Lily Johannes in the midfield. Jimmy's Joseph, Kat Macario, Olivia Moultrie, Emma Sears, Jaden Shaw, Alyssa Thompson. 27 debuts in 29 matches for international debuts under Emma Hayes.
Yeah. I mean, that roster you just read out has a good mix of really experienced players, which mostly were on the field Friday night. And it was, that stat came across the U.S. Women's National Team Twitter account, and it really was nice to see, again, that concerted effort to bring players into the program. But tonight, John, specifically, I do wonder how much rotation will happen, mainly because I really do, if I'm Emma Hayes, and I'm not, she's way smarter than me and knows way more about soccer, but if I'm her, I do really want to try to get a Girma Sam's or Girma and Bug partnership. We love Emily Sonnet, and she obviously was a huge piece in Gotham winning and WSL championship. But I think if you're just smart, and again, looking ahead 2 years in the future, Emily Sonnet is on the wrong side of 30, unfortunately. And I just see the Sam's Girma or Sam's Girma Bug, something of that combo. I see that as being a really strong back line in the future, however you deploy it. And I really would like to see Girma and Sam specifically tonight. But if not, Girma and Bug, and who knows? I don't know if Girma will play a lot because of coming back from injury. We know how those European clubs love to tell Americans they're not allowed to play in matches, but if a European player does it, they're lauded for it. But I really do want to see a continuation of strong partnerships on the field. So it may not always be the best complete roster or lineup tonight, but I do want to see a strong center back pairing. I love what we saw in the midfield last night. Friday night. Sam Coffey was really productive because she had more of a stay-at-home midfielder behind her in Claire Hutton. That type of part, maybe Howell can do that. Maybe that's the experiment, is you keep Coffey and you see if Howell can do it or something like that. But I do want to see strong partnerships tonight so that those relationships begin to form. I know Jason loves to talk about relationships on the field, societies on the field, and I think if we can continue to build that a little bit tonight as well, that would be what my goal heading into 2026 would be, is have some really good established partnerships and understandings on the field.
One of the things that, with all of the gnashing of teeth and wringing of hands and biting of nails, you would have thought that Emma Hayes would be worse than 24-3-2 in her first 29, but she's 24-3-2 in her first 29.
Well, I mean, she hadn't lost a game until this year. I think, firstly, it was kind of weird for her to come in right before the Olympics, where the goal was obviously win a gold medal, right?
Mhm.
Like that I think was, I know she said her goal was to kind of get the players used to her and her used to the player and all these. No. The goal is, when the U.S. women enter a tournament, the goal is to win, and Emma understands that. I think she's smart enough to both coach it and explain it. Where, like, yeah, we've got two things going on here, but the goal is to win. So now that we are, John, in a more exploratory period, the losses, to me, we lost to Brazil. They're a darn good soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I think the loss to Portugal was frustrating, but not. Again, I think if anything, you learned a lot from that game from some of the experienced veterans, if they're able to cut it anymore. To be quite honest. So in losses, you learn more, and that's been a problem for, I think, several iterations of the national team is outside of She Believes Cup, because of a lot of things that Europe has done to kind of maximize. We know how UEFA loves to maximize competition against UEFA teams. The past couple cycles, it's been hard for the women to get really solid friendlies scheduled outside of She Believes Cup. And so to be able to this year actually get some really solid friendlies against top 30, top 20, top 15 opponents, it does, it means you're going to lose a game or two, especially if you're not playing your best players.
What?
I know. But that's okay in the sense that you have to learn things.
Mm.
And I know every coach will say you learn more from failures than you do success. And that is, I think, maybe a way to soften the blow. But I do think in these, it was not necessarily the loss that taught us stuff, but those performances in the losses that showed you what we needed to improve upon. Players that maybe can't cut it, sometimes players who can cut it, and those are good lessons to learn for, again, a coach who is looking at 2 years ahead of time, not, oh, I got to win this next match, right? And that is, I think, for Emma, the change in mindset, because when you go from a club standpoint, right, especially if you're at Chelsea, your goal every single time you step out on the field is, I have to win. Yes, you have some preseason friendlies and stuff like that you might experiment with, but that's not the bulk of the job. When you're on a national team coaching job, the bulk of your job is friendly, right? Which mean a lot, and you go to compete when you're out there. But as a coach, you are setting yourself up, your team up, to either experiment in one way or shape or form, try out a different player, try out maybe a commitment to a certain type of tactic. Um, it's okay that you lose. I think that's always been my thing, is results and friendlies aren't the most important thing. It's the performances, and then what you can take from those performances. And I think that, yes, I agree. There's been gnashing of teeth and, like, oh my gosh, we lost. Yeah, we lost to a friendly uh, against a decent enough team. That's going to happen when you're playing decent teams. But the fact that we're able to hopefully take lessons from that is the real gold here.
USA and Italy tonight, 7 o'clock, TBS and HBO Max. Peacock in Spanish on the radio and English on Westwood 1, and on Football de Primera in the audio form in Spanish. And once again, it's the last match of the year. 11-3-0 in 2025, leads Italy 11-4-1 across 16 matches in the all-time series. Next week when you come on, I do want you to break out the U.S. Soccer High School Yearbook for 2025.
Yes.
And I want to know who's who just got the librarian to sign it and say you're a great student. Thank you for returning everything on time. I want to know who most likely to succeed. Miscongeniality, all those kinds of things. I want to go through the yearbook next week, when we will have done everything that has gone on in U.S. soccer, MNT, WNT, etc. And we can even go into the U's if you want to next week. But I do want to talk about Friday and what it means to the universe of basically soccer here in this country. I mean, it is technically, it is a generational thing. And somewhere in my stacks, I've got the 1994 original stuff. I still, I know it exists someplace in my wardrobe closet when they had really cool stuff, and I bought it. And I bought it in 1995 because it was on special. And I've still got it to this day. And they were ahead of the curve when it came to making wardrobes and gear. So when you look at Friday, and I asked Abe this question, and we'll think about it obviously this week. But when it comes to this generational day in the history of the sport, and I don't think I'm underselling it. I don't think I'm overselling it. When you look at Friday, what does this mean, A, to Atlanta, the home of U.S. soccer now, as the world is coming in 7 months to this country, to this hemisphere? What is it going to be for you, considering that you cover the sport for the, Soccer for USPOD, and you've gone to matches and you've done, what is Friday going to mean to you and everyone in your circle?
Oh, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't really paused to think about it that way, and that's my resolution for 2026, by the way, be a little bit more appreciative of the moments I'm experiencing, because I tend to, John, maybe as you know, when you're doing all the things in the moment and leading up to the moment, you sometimes forget that the moment is special.
Mm-hmm.
But I think specifically, I have to talk about me personally, and just remember that I'm a kid who started playing this game at 4 years old at Frisco Park in Snellville, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing this game for now 32 years. You can do the math on how old I am. I remember soccer being just the sport that the kids would play because it was fun and they could run around and come home tired, and you get a little juice box and an orange slice, before and after the game. The amount, and this is going to make some people mad because they love to just hate on U.S. soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, soccer in the U.S. anyway. The amount the sport has grown since I started participating in it 30 plus years ago. The amount it's grown in the last 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
John, is incredible. And
I mean,
I think
we're an example of it and how it's grown in the last 10 years.
I mean, Atlanta United especially, right? If you would have asked me, would Atlanta ever support a team like this, I would have probably said back in 2010, no, probably not. I think it would get good turnout. But you're telling me we're setting attendance records, putting 42.5 in the bins every single time every time a good team plays. And that I wouldn't have believed that. And the fact that we're seeing so many teams pop up around the country, we're seeing the rise of USL, and a great attendance numbers there. Shout out One Knock. I just don't think people outside, and this is where I'll be a little negative. I think people outside of the U.S. and a lot of people inside the U.S. they see this World Cup as just a grift, right? There's so much talk about hospitality packages and ticket prices and all these things about money, money, money. And it sucks, I'm not going to lie, right? It sucks that this is not an affordable World Cup for anyone. But at the same time, this is a World Cup that I think the structures in place may not be taking advantage of it the way they probably should. I think that's fair criticism. But I think the people, John, who are involved in soccer, which is the heartbeat of the sport, as a former manager of Atlanta United said, football es de la gente, right? Football is for the people, is of the people. That, I think, is going to see exponential growth even after this. It's going to recapture the love for some people. It's going to ignite new fondness that people who maybe haven't touched the sport before will see. And the fact that the draw happens is just really exciting because, number one, we get to figure out who we're playing, right? That is overall, U.S. gets to learn their opponents. We're going to learn which teams are coming to Los Angeles and Seattle. We're going to learn which opponent we're going to be most concerned about, maybe all three. But then you bring it home to Atlanta, and you get to think about, oh man, I get to watch X team versus Y team on this date, maybe if you can get a ticket. That is fun. And then you get to think about, oh man, this I'm really hoping it's Scotland. John, I hope, and I know Jarrett will come home for it. I hope we get Scotland, right? I want to see what Flower of Scotland looks like and sounds like in the
Mm-hmm.
match, right? We get to start dreaming about that after Friday, and that's really special. But I just think overall, John, this World Cup for me will be more about the people than it is about the power,
Mm-hmm.
because we work daily. There's millions of us in this country who work daily to make this sport a better place, a better sport, and a better environment for anyone to participate in. And that is what I hope and what I see happening after this World Cup is just way more people getting involved in understanding the love that we have for this game, the benefits it provides them, not just physically, but as I've seen socially. And hopefully, this is something that can really help kick off a golden age of soccer in this country, um, as it kicks off on Friday.
Yep, and we'll have all of the coverage for you. Like I said, I will be kicking us off at Bench Warmers. It'll be a morning show there. I don't know how open they'll be, but I'll be inside, and we'll be there with Decatur Watch Fest, and then everything's going to get kicking there like 11:30-ish when we're like off the air and getting you ready for everything as we go. Then Maddie and Jason, they will be at Brew House, and we'll be off and running for the entire day when it comes to looking at previewing everything, getting you ready for the draw, the post, efforting special guests from around the planet, and we'll see what it all lines up for on Friday. It's going to be a big day for us and a big day for soccer. Okay, cards and calls. And there's one in particular that I wanted to get into, and it does come from your beloved Gooners. That match, not necessarily an Arsenal moment, but from incidents that happened there. Specifically, where Enzo Maresca was frustrated about a lack of consistency when it came to cards and reds and things like that. So we'll break it down. So last month, Betancourt gets a book for a foul on Reece James. VAR agreed with it. So then Caicedo was cautioned for a challenge on Marino. You had an intervention on the weekend and a red card. Maresca asked, quote, "It's a red card, but why was Betancourt's against Reece James not a red when we were at Spurs away?" So us as a manager, we struggle to understand why they judge in a different way. Moises is a red card, yes. Betancourt's is a red card, yes. Why don't they give him a red card? It's just that we struggle to understand. The reality is that it's a red card, but why do they judge it differently? And this is from our friend Dale Johnson. Partly dependent upon who the VAR is, which makes consistency very difficult. You can't have unified VAR in the booth every single time. So you have VARs and AVARs implementing a philosophy interpreted differently from who's sitting in those chairs. No two fouls are ever the same, according to Dale. Subtle differences between the two. Betancourt was only really stepping in. Caicedo jumped a little. Contact point slightly higher. Also a pronounced buckle of Marino's ankle, something VAR is looking for to indicate excessive force. Boot was shifted back on the turf. In Betancourt's case, key match incident panel supported the yellow for Betancourt 4-1, unanimously backs no VAR intervention. KMI panel will back the decision to send off Caicedo, but it will not be too long before another tackle deemed a yellow card. So of the Caicedo red, what kind of stuck in your brain from this?
Well, I mean, look, it's a red card. It just is. And I do like Dale's breakdown of looking at it from, when red cards are serious foul play, excessive force, right? So again, when we kind of break down the steps of what a foul is, you have careless, reckless, excessive force. So careless being the common foul, reckless meaning that's a yellow card, and then excessive force is a red card. So in this case, serious foul play is what the red card's given for because of as Dale pointed out, excessive force. There was a jump, there was a high speed, there was I liked him kind of breaking down the Marino's ankle actually buckling. It wasn't just, oh, a guy stepped on me and it hurt. It was, this was used with more force than should be used. And I do think, John, to some extent, and this is my commentary on the game. The game itself, if he wants to talk about consistency, he's lucky Chelsea finished with 10 men, because I thought Chelsea got away with a lot of just dirty tackles that maybe could have been elevated to red cards, possibly could have, Cucurella is lucky he stayed on the field, because he had another challenge after his yellow card that probably could have been a yellow card. So I get his frustration match to match, but again, the point is every foul is different, every situation is different. I do think in this game particularly, I like that the yellow card was given first, because with VAR, we are allowed, especially for fouls like this, we are allowed to go back and say, okay, is this truly a red card or a yellow card? We can look at it. It's a lot like targeting in football, right? Which we could open up a whole nother can of worms about targeting in football, but they are very similar, right? Because we're talking about ejecting a player.
Yeah.
So I think I like giving the yellow card first. He says, yeah, that's a bad foul. We're giving it a yellow card, knowing that VAR, if needed, will look at it. I think it makes more sense to give a yellow card and upgrade to a red card than it makes to give a red card and downgrade to a yellow card, because one, from a player standpoint, they just look a little shameful for having to go stand in the tunnel while they're waiting for their, and that it does, I think, look bad on the game a little bit, if you will, to have that. I think it makes more sense to give the yellow card with, saying, okay, look, yes, it was bad. We're going to try to keep all 11 players on the field or whatever we're at that point. Then you say, oh, no, this does look bad. Here's your red card. I do think that process makes more sense. So from this game, I thought it was good to give the yellow card first. It was a very physical game. Apparently, when Arsenal defends a lot, plays a little bit more aggressive and hits on the counter, it's bad. But when other teams do it, it's great soccer. I don't know where that comes into play. But in this case, that was Chelsea's goal, right? You could tell Chelsea, I mean, they were playing with sometimes, they had multiple times, especially in that first half, even with 11, they had 5 guys just immediately dropping to that back line. And their tackles were flying everywhere, because it was, this is number 1 and 2 in the league. It's going to be a tough game. That's something as a referee, coming into it. You go, man, Chelsea needs to win this game to be able to really challenge and make a statement that, yes, we're here to challenge for top of the league. You know that. You also know the players. You know that Cucurella is, liable to do something silly every 5 minutes. Especially on the Arsenal side, you've got 2 center backs, in that are not your normal starters. So, you have to be a little more, and he gave multiple yellow cards to Arsenal players for the stopping a promising attack foul. You have to be in tune with that and understand how this game is going to play out. And I thought he did a good job of it for the most part, trying to keep as many people on the field as possible. Unfortunately for Caicedo, his challenge of kind of jumping onto a guy's foot, that's going to get you a red card. And it's funny that Reece James was the one arguing with the ref about it, when his sister is wont to do this about every other game too. So there's my shot at Chelsea winning for the day. Mm-hmm. But it's a red card. But I think in the matter of the spirit of this game, I think the referee managed it okay in this regard, because it's, if you give a red card immediately there, I think all hell breaks loose. And I think if you can go to VAR and say, yeah, hey man, it's a red card, I think it just, yes, there's going to be but like, it's not the same as an immediate red card that could potentially cause other things to boil over. And yes, after that, Chelsea's going to want a red card every time the opponent breathes on them. I get it. That doesn't, you're not given makeup red cards, But in this sense of this game, I think the yellow card first made sense, especially because obviously both players were hurt. So for the referee standpoint, maybe it wasn't as bad as he thought it was. He said, oh, well, okay, he's kind of hurt too. Now, do I think maybe he was playing hurt because he knew he was going to get a red card? Possibly. But you look at that, you go, okay, this is a yellow card. VAR is going to look at it, you know that, or, hopefully they're going to look at it. If they don't, then you've made the right decision. And you as a referee just have to say, I'm giving that a yellow card. Not sure. Wait for VAR to check it, and then you go, okay, thank you for your service. Here's your red card.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to going back-to-back yellows for dissent, what's your line?
Well, John, the line is the same line. If you're gonna first off, okay, to everyone out there, dissent is not going to make a referee change their call. Period. Right? The call is the call.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go, oh, you swear you didn't touch the ball, or you didn't touch the player and you got a ball? I must have just been seeing something. Okay, fine. I'll take the yellow card.
I'm sorry. I erred in that.
That's not going to happen. 2, once you get a yellow card for dissent, which usually in this case means you said something naughty to a referee or very specifically said something about them and their refereeing to, there are words and phrases that are going to trigger a yellow card, right? Ref, that's, dog poop is one, that's not going to get you a red card. Now if you directly curse at a referee, like, love you ref, that's going to be a red card, right? But if you say, oh, that's, loving poop, and you'll go, okay, well, here you go. Here's your yellow card for that. But once you get the yellow card, that's your cue to shut up. That just is. I mean, I've done this with players and coaches before. This is my little trick: is I'll start pulling out my card as they're talking to me. Especially, like I had a coach a couple weeks ago who was trying to come onto the field. He was claiming he was trying to check out an injured player, and I was like, well, I didn't tell you to come on the field yet, and you're yelling at me while you're coming out on the field. So I start pulling out my card out of my top pocket, which is my red card pocket, and I said, Coach, I don't think you should come onto the field anymore. You need to get back. And he, took that as a sign to get back. The cards are meant to be visual symbols that you have crossed lines. And if you continue to step over that line,
mm-hmm.
So I forget which game it was that we're talking about, but I remember seeing the meme on Twitter. And it's just like, bro, if you got a yellow card and you kept yelling at the referee, what did you think was going to happen? So honestly, once you get that yellow card, my patience, that is me saying my patience with you, we are done, right? It's, I don't know what the phrase is in your household, John, but in ours, it's something like, okay, then. And that's I would suggest you shut up and agree with me. And it's like, that's what I just told you. We're not arguing anymore. First off, we're not arguing with referees. Don't do that. I'm not here to argue with you, because every time anytime that a player comes to me, during the middle of the game, especially after foul, well, what did I do? And I say, well, you fouled him. Well, I didn't touch him. I got all ball. It's like, no, you kicked him. And then they continue to argue, and I'm like, okay, well, I've told you what you did. You're just arguing for argument's sake. We understand none of these are good faith, good-hearted. They're just not. They're getting their complaints out, and that's why we allow it to a little bit, right? We allow for some dissent. Because look, I get it. You don't like being told that you did a naughty thing. Okay. Say your piece and we move on. But that's the thing. You're allowed to say your piece and move on. It's not say your piece and continue to say your piece and tell me that I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know the laws. My mom is terrible. My dad, hates me. All these things. You're not allowed to do that. And especially after you've been given a yellow card, you can't continue to do that. So I don't know exactly what was said in those moments, but if you're getting a double booked for dissent, that's a you problem. Don't ever try to blame the referee for that, because you have continued to talk when you have been told, hey man, I think you should be quiet right now.
Just thought I'd ask. I wanted to have that out there. So once again tonight, last match of the season for the USWNT. as they're at the Erector Set taking on Italy tonight. Once again, 7 o'clock. It's going to be on HBO Max and all the WBD networks and Peacock as well. So I apologize that you had to struggle with the hotel Wi-Fi this morning and had to kind of do things a little sideways. But, it's sometimes
You booked a hotel with free Wi-Fi, John. You expect it to work.
I mean, I'm to the point where I use hotspots now. I'm just like,
I can't be too mad. I'm looking at the beach right now. So
there you go.
So I booked it based on proximity. I will say that.
Yes. So enjoy the match tonight, my friend, and we'll catch up obviously next week when we'll know what the draw looks like, and we'll get out the yearbook and talk about everything from U.S. Soccer High School, and we'll break it all down next week. Thanks for dropping by. Have fun time tonight and get safe getting back here. Okay.
All right, John. Y'all enjoy the cold weather. I'm going to enjoy the sunshine.
As he does. There goes Bart. Bart Keeler, SoccerForUSPod. It's always great to catch up with him once again tonight in the what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it category. It's going to be that as a part of anything and everything that's there. For those of you not at the beach and those of you not at the Erector Set tonight, it is once again BN and Espanyol has this Turkish Super League at noon. Fenerbahce Galatasaray. If you like rivalries, this is one of them. And this is major. Galatasaray, Fenerbahce. This is major at the top of the charts of the Turkish Super League. You can catch it on BN and Espanyol. You can get that at Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. Helps them out, helps us out, helps you out to continue to add the leagues that you may not necessarily have known about, that you get to continue to add to all of your madness when it comes to the leagues that you follow on a daily basis. Also on the board, it is Rayo Vallecano Valencia. It's at 3 o'clock on ESPN Deportes. Also, Fox Deportes Serie B coming up when our show is over. Bari and Pescara. That's at 11:15. On the Plus, it's also your matchup in La Liga, Serie A, and the English Championship, Birmingham City and Watford, 2:45 and 3 o'clock specifically. TBS has the friendly. HBO Max has the friendly. Peacock has the friendly. And that's where we are. Once again, remember, you can go to the NAIA website, NAIA.org, if you want to watch any of the matchups today at 11, 2, 5, and 8. And we would recommend watching the one at 2 o'clock because that involves what's going on in our footprint, thanks to head coach Steve DeCou from Georgia Gwinnett, who got to sleep in this morning, and he's going to be meeting with the club about 20 minutes or so, and they'll break everything down, getting ready for their 2 o'clock matchup today in the round of 16. So it's a light day of soccer on TV. No Monday Night Football, no nothing like that. But you do have championship. You do have the U.S. Women's National Team in their year finale, in their 2025 finale, going up against Italy after the 3-0 win on the weekend. So that's what we're staring at. Okay, let's get you into what happened, and we'll recap the weekend in Major League Soccer, get you through. We talked about it a little bit. Now you get to hear from some of the principals and find out how things did go down on the weekend. And so we'll work backward. We'll go to what happened last, and it was San Diego and Vancouver. And early on, I mean, it was Vancouver, and it was Vancouver. And it probably stunned a lot of folks that it ended up the way that it did. It was 3-0 at the break, 3-1 your final. Here was the first goal on the board, courtesy of Apple TV Plus and Major League Soccer. Brian White in the 8th minute.
And Dreyer to work this back. Taken away by the Whitecaps. They work it across. The return pass. Kubas is in to the far post, and they're in. Brian White with the finish, and it's the Vancouver Whitecaps who strike first on the road. It's a 1-0 game. The man who scored 16 times in the regular season, an MVP candidate, you might say, in the first third of the year.
Players in recent weeks, in recent months, has been Kubas. Just watch his pressing, his intent. He wins the ball, but then this is brilliant. He plays the 1-2. He thinks he's got a bit of a difficult angle, so he said, you know what? I'm going to play to my centre forward, White. And it's absolutely magnificent midfield play. First of all, to win the ball. Secondly, to play the 1-2. And thirdly, to play to his centre forward. What a start for Vancouver. They've been on the front foot, and they have got the score, and they have got the goal that they deserve early on in this game.
1-0 at that point. Then it ends up as an own goal from Pablo Cisniega to make it 2-0. And then before the half, as we discussed, third goal on the board for Vancouver. Did not have this once again on the bingo card. But remember, traditionally this season, it has been one of those where you had a team that is better on the road than they are at home. So third goal on the board in the first half, and it ends up as a brace for Brian White to make sure that that goal was on the board. 3-0 at the break, 3-1 at the half, and that was your final. So Brian White's brace right here.
Berhalter saw Kubas calling for it, switch to the left side. Ahmed to bring this down. Ali Ahmed. That's a beautiful move on Pilcher. Ahmed continues on, works it across, and it's in the back of the net again. Brian White, and Vancouver gets the lead to 3 before the halftime interval.
When you look at San Diego, we've already spoken about their press. They press one side. So what Vancouver decide to do, they decide, right, if we can switch it, we talk about the wingers keeping the width, getting 1 versus 1, and it's exactly what Ahmed does. And then White is in the right place at the right time once again to get his second goal and Vancouver's third goal. It's been an absolute masterclass from Vancouver in this first half, as in terms of winning the ball back, knowing where the space is, and being the most important thing in front of goal. And that is efficient.
Danny Higginbotham, not wrong, on Apple TV Plus and MLS Season Pass. On the night, breaking down the numbers for Vancouver, we'll get into your starting lineup here. It was Brian White scoring in the 8th inning at 45+2, Pablo Cisniega scoring in the 11th, Chucky Lozano scoring in the 60th, and that was where you end up with those goals on the board. We bring in the Western Frontier here in the final 20 minutes. We'll see how long he can hang out with us. Jarrett Smith. Jarrett, we are going back over what happened in the conference finals. We are in the West, and it was Steamroller City for the Vancouver Whitecaps. It was 3-0 at the break, 3-1 your final. San Diego out the door, Vancouver heading to South Florida.
Vancouver appears to be on a mission from God, John. This is something I have waited on for many years, which is the completion of the triumvirate of Northwestern obnoxiousness. We know Seattle and what they have been. Portland has a trophy from MLS Cup and has been to 2 more that they fell short on. Vancouver is the one we're just kind of waiting on. And Vancouver finally turned the engine over, and brother, they turned that engine over and then took the engine out and just started beating San Diego with said engine.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of blood that San Diego bled. Yeah, you got your 1 goal from Chucky, but yeah, Vancouver just kind of walked in and, like, instead of talking, they just started throwing metaphorical punches.
Yeah,
which I love. Look, this is kind of, all things being considered, I think this is a very fair MLS Cup. Miami at a certain point just looked like they were going to take what Atlanta did to them last year and internalize it and then just turn it on everybody and make it everyone else's problem. And they have. Vancouver surviving the whatever the hell that was with LAFC in the playoffs, John, just at that point, I was like, I kind of after that game was like, I don't know anyone who's going to beat this team, and I don't know anyone who wants to try right now because they were down to 9 men, gave up a 94th minute equalizer from one of the best players on the planet, and survived. Like, we thought you were dead, and you weren't. And then you didn't die, and then the same as Miami, you made it everyone else's problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited for this Cup final. It should be fun.
But did you
Football
die?
wins the day, man.
But did you die? You feel like that Leslie?
Oh yeah.
That Leslie Chow needs to be a part of everything. Okay, we got a piece of breaking news here. I'm not going to hit the sounder. It appears, and this is from Doug Robertson of the AJC. Within the last 10 minutes, Garth Lagerwey will not return as Atlanta United's president. The club announced today. Garth took 2 health-related leaves of absences earlier this year for a cancer-related issue. Jobs turned into the role that will oversee Atlanta United and the NWSL franchise, scheduled to start in 28, and Atlanta United had no further comment from there. So Doug is reporting that Garth is not returning to Atlanta United. Understandably so. Obviously, as much as, and I know that I'm not in the minority here, that cancer can go blank itself, and you want Garth to focus on that. And, once again, Doug reporting in the last 10 minutes that Garth is not going to return to Atlanta United. So, look, go kick cancer's ass. I mean, that's basically what I'm thinking in all of this. Focus on your family, focus on your health, focus on you. Garth Lagerwey not returning to Atlanta United. Just like I said, just go kick cancer's ass, and we'll be right here for you the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the long and short of it, John. It sucks. I know that, I know that Garth has not met the expectations of multiple fans in their eyes and what they expected of him when he came here. And this was a different role. Remember, this is a different role for Garth. He had been a technical director, and this was a step up from that. This was going to be a different challenge for him, and it didn't go perfectly. And then you pile on top of that health-related concerns. It's tough, man. Like, it's tough when you're healthy. And at this point, yeah, it's if you've had to take 2 breaks for health-related reasons, I want you to take as many as you need. And if that means you walk away, look, the door is always open to visit, but I need you to focus on you at this point. That's okay.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So, like I said, that was the only words that came from the conversation that Doug had with folks inside the office involving Atlanta United. But once again, apparently that role is now going to be rolled over to looking after the Atlanta United and NWSL Atlanta 2028. And so we'll obviously, keep an eye on the growth of the NWSL franchise and as it launches in 2.5 years on the field, but has already launched because you've got your runway that's squared away here. That is going away. Morning, Abby. Morning, Ricky. And another quick sidebar before we get into what happened in the Eastern Conference. It appears, according to Adam Crafton, this morning at the Athletic, discussions taking place between CONCACAF and CONMEBOL for the 2028 edition of the Copa America to be hosted in the United States. Multiple sources familiar with the conversations, who asked to remain anonymous to protect relationships, have told the Athletic negotiations are taking place between CONCACAF and CONMEBOL for the Copa to be held in the U.S. for the second consecutive time. It means the men's national team would again compete in the tournament, would also take place in the same summer as the Olympic Games, hosted by the U.S. in Los Angeles. Olympics due to begin on July 14, and both Copa America and the Olympics will likely want to avoid a crossover. The Copa America Final in 2024 took place on July 14. Tournament hosted by the U.S. back in 24 included, since it was a mixing of the confederations, the U.S., Mexico, Canada, Panama, Costa Rica, Jamaica. The only other occasion the U.S. previously hosted the Copa was in 16. It would mean that the U.S. will host the tournament 3 times out of 5 between 2016 and 2028, 2019 and 2021, hosted by Brazil. The latter tournament scheduled to take place, postponed due to the COVID pandemic. So that's what you're looking at there. And so it appears, Jarrett, that it could be that this country could be hosting the Copa America for 3 times within a 5 tournament window if it's going to be paired with the Olympics. And so right now, CONCACAF, CONMEBOL, they're having discussions about the things. And so it looks like it might be heading this way for the 2028 version if all of the I's are dotted and T's are crossed between CONCACAF and CONMEBOL.
Yeah.
Huzzahs and hoorays. You get them all again.
Money rules all.
Yes.
Don't get it twisted. Don't get anything sideways about, where should we do it? We're doing it because we're just excited about. No, you're excited about money. All of you are excited about money. CONCACAF, CONMEBOL, UEFA, FIFA, every federation is excited about as much money as they can possibly get. And in some cases, International Olympic Committee, it's as much money as I can get before I have to go to jail. That being said, it's always going to be about money. And MLS, Soccer United Marketing, United States Soccer. You know what the cool thing about that check is, John? It clears.
Don't bounce. Mm-mm.
It don't bounce.
Mm-mm.
It's one of the reasons clubs will do business here from South America. It's one of the reasons players will come here. That paycheck ain't bouncing.
Mm-mm.
Unless you're like in one of the shady, like super, super weird low division clubs. Those can bounce sometimes.
Yep.
Those are a different story. But for me, this is it's cool. Like, don't get me wrong. I enjoy those moments when I get to see South American teams come up into the United States. We get major tournaments taking place on American soil. That's awesome. Like, fully enjoying it. All I'm saying is just understand that the check clears and that money rules everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to live in this little utopia where, they just hit it for the love of the game. Well, good luck. Good luck with living that life.
Yep. 1.6 million fans attended the tournament in 2024. Ticketing model in the U.S. netted CONMEBOL record revenues, according to Crafton. Tournament was responsible for the bulk of $319 million worth of income for CONMEBOL alone from national team competitions in 2024, 241 million pounds. Tournament obviously was not without challenges. Folks were talking about turfs and things like that. Colombia and Argentina delayed at Hard Rock. So obviously there are things to look at. Copa America in 28 would also no longer disrupt an MLS season because the league rolls over to the international calendar there. And so a CONMEBOL press officer insisted to Crafton, nothing is concrete at this stage, end quote, said his office is yet to receive information on the matter. CONCACAF and U.S. Soccer have been approached for comment and have yet to give some to Crafton. So it appears that the Copa might be heading this way in 2028. So you got that to discuss as well, and we'll see how it all lays out. Eastern Conference, and I think that if anybody wants to send an apology note to either Tadeo Allende or Javier Mascherano, that they should just go ahead and do it. Put your hand in the air, like we always say. Put your hand in the air if you're wrong. Say that you're wrong. There's no harm in it. I think there's more harm when you keep your hand down and you don't say anything. But yes, if anyone would like to send apology notes or quick notes to Coach Mascherano or to Tadeo Allende, you may do so at any time. It wasn't close, and it just was crazy how linked up Allende and Silvetti and Messi are up top these days. And Jordi Alba can still drop dime and give a nickel change. So, I mean, right now they're humming along, but I'm intrigued about what Vancouver is going to bring to the table on the weekend.
I think Vancouver's going to try and punch him in the face, but you just have to be careful when you do it. But part of having that old team is if you can punch them in the face, if Vancouver could just hang on to the damn ball for a while.
Yes.
Make Miami defend, make Miami play off the ball. Like, I like their chances a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get it twisted here. This isn't like New York City was undeserving.
No.
Like, New York City won two road games against Charlotte. Drew the home game and lost the shootout. Probably should have won the shootout. But you won two road games in Charlotte, the Fortress, trademark pending.
Yes.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Dean Smith scored one goal over 180 minutes or 270 minutes. Like the hallmark of Dean Smith playoff runs has been the inability to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yes.
But then you went to Philadelphia on the road, and no matter how much the mothership with their like postseason breakdowns wants to actually the teams like Philadelphia, like Charlotte,
Well, actually,
like Cincinnati, no matter how much we want to do this, it's a league that it is still actually difficult to win on the road consistently.
I mean,
and New York City had been doing it. Like they went and got the goal that they needed in Philadelphia,
and they were shorthanded in doing it.
Yes, you lost players due to injury on the international side during the international break, and you went and got it. So don't poo-poo a damn single thing that NYC did in this playoff run, considering they went and did it on the road. They went and did it shorthanded. They went and beat the darlings that everybody was so excited about, including the Shield winners. And you can poo-poo it all you want about, well, actually, Philadelphia wasn't that great against the top competition. They still won the Shield. Don't tell me that, actually me with this bullshit if you're also going to tell me that the Shield is your most important trophy. It's not for me. Again, you have an unbalanced schedule. If we had a balanced schedule, sure, 100%, let's talk. We don't have a balanced schedule right now. We were not going to have a balanced schedule. It's going to be weird going forward. We're not England. It's okay. You don't have to be England. Not everything has to be England. It's not mandatory. Anyway, don't take anything away from NYCFC, but they ran into a buzzsaw. And if you're thinking, man, maybe Philadelphia would have been a better matchup for them, tell Philly not to lose to New York City. Philadelphia had a busted and banged up NYC team at home and then chose not to score a goal. I say chose, as if Matt Freese didn't ruin their lives. They got shut out of home. You don't get to have this conversation right now. You don't get to, well, we would have done better. Well, you didn't do better against the team that just got smacked down by Miami. Cross that bridge first, then you can cross the other one. Miami's on a damn warpath. Messi and friends look like they want to get one more. This is like one more job before we go into retirement.
Yeah, for Alba and Busquets specifically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is for those two. Yeah, this is a heist film. This is like we're doing one more job. Or for those of you of the Red Dead Redemption 2 philosophy, this is Dutch coming up with one last plan, except it's actually working.
Yep.
This is the heist in Saint Denis if it went well.
Yes.
And somebody didn't get shot, but it's been very impressive to watch, John. Long and short of it is, I take nothing away from NYC in this run of the playoffs. And I take nothing at all away from Miami because they haven't just beaten people. Yeah. They lost to Nashville in Nashville.
Yeah. But since game 3 in that series.
Yes. No Jordi Alba, no problem. We went back to not using Luis Suarez. No Luis Suarez, no problem. We went back to having a functional 9 who has knees that work. And what did he do? He just started running all over God's creation, pressing, creating chaos, eating up space, eating up gravity, creating space for others. You love to see it.
So which goal would you like to hear? Do you want to hear Allende's second with the dime from Jordi Alba, or the third on the ball from Lionel Messi that was just absolutely ridiculous?
We can do that one because that kind of felt like that was the killing blow, because when it's 2-1, Rocco Rios Novo, Atlanta legend. I'll get to that in a minute. I have thoughts on that shit in a minute.
Yes.
Rocco made an amazing save at 2-1 that kept it at 2-1 and kept NYC from tying this thing up. Because remember, you're one great save away, and it's a fantastic save. Again, Rocco's like 5'10", maybe on a good day. Maybe in the morning before gravity does its thing.
Yes.
Rocco gets up and makes an amazing save to keep it at 2-1. So let's do the 3-1. Let's do the messy. Let's do the killing blow.
Okay.
That makes it 3-1.
Well, the Allende hat trick. So here's the third goal, the completion of the Allende hat trick once again, courtesy of our friends at Apple TV Plus and Major League Soccer. And you'll know when the pass makes it through because of the reaction in the booth.
Right foot, wasn't it?
I'm not responsible.
Absolutely, I wouldn't touch that. Oh,
Allende, is it 5? A hat trick for Allende! This team, what a night for Inter Miami. In the playoffs, that ties the MLS record.
I ruffled some feathers this week because I said with Silvetti and Allende playing off Messi as a false 9, I'd argue Miami's unplayable. Any argument? You're so worried about Messi as a false 9 and playing through him, Silvetti and Allende will run circles around you because there's quality all over the field that Mascherano knows right now is the magic formula.
I think that maybe
I'm sorry. How is that ruffling feathers? That's a completely accurate and logical take.
well, but at the same time,
Stop manufacturing your own controversy.
I know.
That
Look,
was everyone who watched them came to that conclusion. Like, yeah, I should run off that. Get the hell out of Dodge.
Jake and TT, by the way, on the call, and that particular quote and section of tape probably should make its way up to Vancouver so they can listen to that. But you knew the moment that Messi made the pass that cut the back line, where you hear the you could see it happening in slow motion at that point, where it goes between the center backs, and you're going, oh damn, here it comes again. Lionel Messi did not have a shot on goal, did not take a shot in this match.
Great players don't have to score goals to impact the game. And yeah, Messi has been doing it in the playoffs. He's been scoring like a video game. But you don't have great players don't have to score 2 goals and an assist to impact the game. And yeah, Messi's going to get assists all day long because he's going to hit passes like that, and he's going to get hockey assists because he's going to hit the ball that unlocks somebody else that's going to unlock the assist. You don't need Messi every single game to get 2 goals and assists. Like, he doesn't have to be Wayne Gretzky, John.
No,
he's great. He's arguably the greatest of all time for a reason, even at his old decrepit age of 38.
Yeah. 1 assist, 1 big chance created, 3 key passes, 2 of 4 on crosses, 33 of 37 passing, 89%, 25 of 31 in the opposition half, by the way, at 81%. You wanted to talk about Rocco. Go.
Look, the Rocco Rios Novo glow up has been wonderful. Rocco, I don't know if we remember how many people were ready for Rocco to go to the bench when he went to the bench in, was that 22, 23? It was when Brad blew his Achilles apart.
23 was like 24. Yeah, toward the end of 23 because he was out in 24, back in 24, and then 25.
Yeah, he blew it out midway through 23 because you had him and Raul Godinho. And people were clamoring, like, play Godinho. You got him on loan. Go ahead and play Godinho. Like, people were ready to bench Rocco. I'm happy for Rocco's glow up here because Rocco was fine. Again, 23 is a broken year in Atlanta. Your defense sucked. Everyone was hurt. Everyone was dying. Miles also blew out his Achilles that year. 23 was just a dog water year, man. These conversations about Rocco Rios Novo, I think it's important that we have these conversations and understand that your own misery is a choice. If you're going to watch Rocco and I can't believe we had him and let him go, we suck, everything is bad, and I can't believe, we had him and look what we did with him. We didn't do anything in Miami. No, it's not. Development and success is not a straight line. Rocco was fine here. Go back to his debut with the club in CONCACAF Champions League, where he comes on down a man and just basically has to scramble like a squirrel that just found a vat of Red Bull and manages to get the job done. And it was beautiful. We loved it. Rocco still is, I think, only 23, 24 years old. He still has a lot of growing up to do. Enjoy these moments, though. Yeah, we had Rocco. And Rocco comes back because Brad blows his Achilles up. So you reach out, you get him back here. It's a Philly game is when it turns. It almost felt like he lost his confidence in that Philadelphia game in 23, where he came out on a couple balls he shouldn't have, and he just looked indecisive and just looked like he needed a reset. He got his reset. Rocco went to Phoenix, and no matter what you think of USL, man went to Phoenix and won a cup with Phoenix Rising in USL Championship. And you know how he won that cup? I think he made 2 or 3 saves in the penalty shootout that clinched the title.
Mm-hmm.
He was big time. He goes to Miami. He has to wait. Eventually, Mascherano benches one of your goalkeepers. Drake Callender is not part of the plan.
Healthy, not healthy, sitting. Oscar Ustari comes in with the Argentina background. Rocco is there.
Ustari is just not great, and then gets the red card, gets benched. Rocco does what you want him to do, which is he came in with no guarantees. He wanted to prove himself. He got a chance to prove himself, and he did. That's a great save the other night to keep it 2-1, because Miami had firepower for days. They put up 5 goals. At a certain point, that game is 2-1, and a pesky New York team that won't die is, at that moment, surprise, refusing to die.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time, you get to the point in the game where they get that shot at 2-1, and by the time it happens, it kind of feels like, oh my God, they're going to get this back to 2-2. It's going to be level. It's going to be all square again, and God only knows what happens at that point, because again, New York City won't die. Rocco makes that big save. Happy for the kid. Again, he's not that old. He's got a bright future. I hope he just takes in this moment, enjoys it, and you can enjoy that a former player is doing something well without lamenting and bitching and moaning about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because what are you going to do? Are you going to sit here with a straight face and tell me that everybody saw him the way they see Jaden Hibbert? No. It was up and down, because 23 was an absolute mess and was just basically, you're just getting shelled the entire season. Plenty of people were calling for Raul Godinho to come in. Raul Godinho was not better. Raul Godinho is a professional goalkeeper, which means that he is better than 99% of the people who would put on gloves. Mm-hmm. But he was not better in that season with what you needed. But what you got out of it was Rocco was able to get his legs under him. He didn't stick. You were getting Brad back. And I think it has worked out well for everyone. Atlanta has now a weirdly effective through line on goalkeeper, going down to the damn U14s right now.
I know.
So parlayed that into going to the championship, building himself up. It was, again, he didn't just stand between the sticks with his hands in his pockets and win a title with nothing to do. The man made multiple saves in the PK shootout of the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And now he is 90 minutes away from another trophy. Give Rocco his flowers. And it's okay to do that without lamenting everything around you like you are Eeyore sitting in a mud pit.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, soccer over there tonight, 8 o'clock. and we'll discuss things. We'll go in and around the planet, let you know what's on our minds as we go. Once again, NAIA is this morning. It's officially underway. The quadruple headers today and tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow, find out winners, see if folks want to come back and visit. Should have Casey White dropping by to discuss the college game. We'll get into the college game in depth, catch up with our friend Jason Stevens, and find out about the new version of PSR, find out about clubs chasing after MCOs, and getting you ready for the rest of the week. Any other thoughts from you, sir, before we wrap on a Monday?
Just waiting for the end of the week so we can see where everyone goes in the World Cup.
Busy blanking day for us at SDH as well. I will be at bench warmers to kick things off. Like I said, I don't know how open they will be, but we'll be there to kind of get the doors open for you. We'll do the morning show from bench warmers in downtown Decatur. Maddie and Jason will be anchored at the brew house. They're going to be on after we're done about 11 o'clock. They're going to come visit about 10. They're going to take over at 11, give you a bit of pregame. Then they're going to start once the draw is over. They're going to do your reacts from a brew house, and it's going to be a busy day with us here on the network across the board. So that'll do it for your Monday. Once again, thanks to Jared, as always, for coming in. Thanks to Bart, who is down in South Florida getting ready for the last match for the USWNT this season, and he's going to be there. That's a 7 o'clock kick tonight across WBD Media. And thanks to Steve DeCou, the head coach at Georgia Gwinnett, as they get ready for their 2 o'clock Eastern kick. Thanks to Abe Gordon for dropping by. His early thoughts on MLS Cup, what happened in the playoffs, what's going to happen Friday, all the things. So, Jarrett, sir, since you are in fact here, I will, if I can find it here quickly, I will let you close the show. Go for it.
Much applause to y'all.
What he said. See you at 8 tonight.